Alright guys, so here's the review of the San Martin SN0034B-1. So before we get into this, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who left comments on the community post I did a while back. If you don't know what I'm on about, just check that out. I'm not going to go into detail in this video, but it explains why I've not done a review for a while. So again, massive thank you to everyone who left comments on there. Really appreciate it. It was really nice. Some lovely comments. Myself and my partner both really appreciate it. People always go on about toxic comments and YouTube comments being horrible, but in my experience with this community in particular, that's not the case at all. Yeah, you're always going to get a few bad ones now and then, but 99% absolutely fantastic. So, just want to say again, massive thank you to everyone. We've got a great community here, and I really appreciate you guys. But now let's get down to the watch. So you can probably see we've got some new packaging here from San Martin. So they're always changing the packaging up, always improving it. So initially they had those plastic kind of boxes that you get from the likes of Steel Dive and lots of other brands. They were good. Then they changed to it was kind of similar to this kind of shape and size, plastic kind of tubs, which were alright, but they're a little awkward to store, and they weren't all that useful. So I definitely think this is the best they've got so far. So it's well, not real leather, faux leather. Got the San Martin embossed in the top. And then we've got the zips. And it is actually useful, this. You can actually use it to carry around watches. So we've got the watch on a nice padded cushion there. Pop that to one side for a second. And we've got a nice kind of felt lining on the inside, which will protect the watch. And as I say, you can put any watches in this if you want to take it travelling around. So useful, as well as looking good too. The bits that you used to get in the previous one, you do still get in this, but they just come in a separate bit. So you got the instruction manual, warranty card, which is actually dated, the little tag, and the spring bar removal tool. And here's the actual watch. So according to the listing, San Martin are calling this a pilot's watch, but you're probably going to notice straight away there's a couple of little things that are different from traditional pilot watches, namely those hands, which are cathedral style, and also when it comes to the dimensions, they're not really pilot style dimensions. So let's go over them. We've got a diameter of 37mm, which is quite a bit smaller than your standard pilot watches, thickness of 11.2, lug width of 20, and then the all-important lug to lug coming in at 45.4. So pretty compact dimensions for what is meant to be a pilot watch. I think this would probably be more kind of field tool watch than your straight pilot's watch. But let me know down in the comments, what do you think? What would you class this as? Now let's get a zoom in on that dial and talk about that in a bit more detail. So as I said, we've got those cathedral style hands. I was being a little bit nitpicky. Perhaps they could be a little bit bigger, perhaps thicker. The length isn't too bad, but I think they do look slightly small for the dial. Just bulk them up a little bit, I think that would look better. And it's a fully printed dial, so nothing applied. Got that triangle at the top, printed San Martin just below that, and then the automatic printer just above the 6. Got a nice high polish on those hands, so they do catch the light nicely. And then this is like a Type B style Liga design on the dial, which is obviously why they're probably calling it a pilot's watch. So it does have elements of pilot's watches, although overall I don't think it'd be classed as a pilot's watch in my opinion. So seeing as we're zoomed in, let's take a look at the rest of the case. So it's a fully brushed case, got that polished chamfer detail on the bottom of the bezel. It's all really nicely done, as you'd expect with San Martin. A little bit of curvature there to those lugs, so it does help conform to wrist even more. We've got that signed crown with the San Martin hexagonal logo. I know some people aren't keen on that, I personally don't mind it. Got a flat crystal, we'll be checking in a minute if that's sapphire, but as you can see, we've actually got some AR on that. It is working pretty well. So let's zoom back out, go over the strap. So this is fairly similar to the ones you get on escapement time pilot watches, although this does feel a bit more supple. Not really any break-in period with this one. really nice and soft. We've got the San Martin branded buckle there. Stitching nicely done. A little bit of tape on that. And we've also got quick release spring bars too, which is always nice. Sterile case back, again fully brushed. You can see we've got that kind of radial finish. One slight issue I have found though is with the bottom of these lugs. On the ends here, they are a touch sharp, but other than that, it's literally just these end bits are a touch sharp. But it's only right on the corner, you're not really going to be touching that too much, so it shouldn't be an issue. I've not had it scratching my wrist or anything, but just something to be aware of. So now, let's check out if it is sapphire crystal. Using the trusty diamond selector too. And yeah, we have got sapphire crystal. So it's always good to see, especially at this more affordable end of San Martin watches. Oh, I forgot to mention before as well, if you aren't keen on this leather strap, they do actually do it on a bracelet as well. And personally, if I was going to be getting one of these, because I actually got this one in for review for free, didn't have to pay for it. If I was buying one myself, I'd be going for the bracelet option. It's not that much more expensive, and obviously getting a bracelet for not much more is pretty much a no-brainer. Because you're always going to be able to get straps to fit watches. Bracelets, you're sometimes going to struggle. If you can get a bracelet that fits the watch that comes with it initially, it's always a good option to go with in my opinion. And if you want to know how much they are, the link will be down in the description as always. I'm not going to mention the price because AliExpress prices can fluctuate so much. It's just not really worth it, to be honest. So the link will be down there if you want to check it out. So now, let's check out what the loom's like. So you can see we've got quite a bit there already, but let's charge it up, give it a fair chance. And there we go. So you can see we've got BGW9, so we've got that ice blue kind of colour. And it's really consistent across the hands and the indices, no patchiness at all. Although, that being said, the indices do actually fade quicker than the hands. But you kind of expect that with it being a printed dial. You just can't get as much loom in there as you would on applied indices. So those thin lines will fade first, followed by the numbers, and then obviously the hands. And the hands do hang on a decent amount of time. Yeah, they're not going to rival the diver, but they're still pretty good. They'll last you a decent amount of time. As you come to expect with San Martin, they're pretty good with loom, even on their non-dive watches. So no issues there with this one. So when it comes to the water resistance on this, obviously it doesn't say anything on the dial or on the back of the case, but the listing says it's got a 100 metre water resistance. So got a screw down crown, which will help with that, as well as the screw down case back. So quickly unscrew this and we'll go over the movement. So we've got a Miyota 8215 in this. I'm going to be honest, it's not my favourite movement. You do get a little bit of rotor noise, and also you don't get hacking. And also with this particular one, we've got a ghost date position, because we don't have a date window. You might be able to hear that ticking over. So pop it out again, as you can see, no hacking as I said. And then just the time. Pop it back in, and wind him. So when it comes to the power reserve, you're getting about 42-hour power reserve on this. So it's going to be one of those. You may not find it your favourite movement, but in the more budget end San Martin watches, I think it's forgivable. Would I prefer an NH35? Yeah, I think I probably would. But it is what it is. So all it's left to do now, show you what it's like on wrist, and then we'll wrap this up. So this is what it looks like on my 7-inch wrist. And as you'd expect with those nice dimensions, it does wear really nicely. Also that slight curvature to the case. So it does hug the wrist. And this strap is really comfortable, as I say, really soft, really supple. But again, I would probably be going for the bracelet. And then just buying a separate strap. So then you can mix and match. When it comes to niggles with this one, there aren't really that many. It's pretty much just that movement. It's not my favourite. A little bit of rotor noise. Lack of hacking doesn't bother me too much, but it might you. Other than that, if I was being really nitpicky, perhaps make those hands slightly thicker maybe. But again, that's just being nitpicky, as I say. Other than that, movement, I'm pretty happy with it, especially for the price they're asking. I think it's pretty reasonable. And again, if you're interested in picking one up, links down in the description. If you want a more traditional pilot's watch, I'll leave some links to them at the end. You might want to check them out instead. But that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.